Hello, my name is Sam from Vietnam House Church, and today I'd like to share some things I have learned during the New Life Bible study that I am currently taking part in. So a few weeks back during the New Life Bible study, Pastor Yun told us about a prayer method which really intrigued me. He asked, don't you just get up and leave straight after giving your prayers to God? And what if God was about to give you a response and you weren't there to listen? He proceeded to teach us about listening prayers, in which you would give your prayers to God, but then instead of immediately getting up to leave, continue to wait and listen for God's response. This was a new concept for me and one that I hadn't quite thought of before, so when I got back home, I sat in my chair and told God about all my prayer points and asked Him for guidance. Then I sat there in silence and waited for a response from God. For the longest time, all I heard was like the chirping of birds and cars passing by outside. And in some moments, I thought I heard God, but I realized it was just myself imagining answers I wanted to hear from God. That day, I didn't end up hearing a response from God, but I felt strangely calm. I felt assured God had heard my prayers and that He would respond in His own way and in His own time. I continued to pray in this way, and I continued to pray in this way, and as I prayed more in this way, I realized I was gaining more peace in my heart through this method of prayer. Before, when I would pray, I felt that I constantly needed to say something to fill the silence, but this way I could come to God in prayer without having the entire initiative to speak being put on me. So to me, this type of prayer felt more like a conversation, and I think that's what gave my heart peace. Last week in the Bible study, we officially learned this method of listening prayer, and I realized I was missing some crucial aspects of this sort of prayer. The biggest point I was missing was that I was listening for God's physical voice, but the Bible study taught me that the answer might also come through the Bible, as it contains all of God's words within it. And another point that I thought was important was to have a listening room, which could mean a physical room in which you go into to devote yourself, or it could be a heart that you should have going into prayer if you want to hear God's answer. So with these points in mind, I prayed to the Lord and listened for His answer. And I would like to share one of the Bible verses that I received as an answer to my prayers. It's from John chapter 14, verse 27, and it's, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Actively listening for God's voice in prayer has changed the way I look at prayer in general. And I'm usually a person who doesn't cope well with stress. But through listening for God's answers in prayer, I no longer stress as much and have found that my perspective on prayer and interacting with God has changed, and I thank the Lord for this change in my life. Thank you for listening to my story, and may God bless you.